Hello, happy Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Dr. Ginny, and I love to help people learn to eat slender, think slender, and live slender so that they can really regain their health and vitality. I mostly work with people over 40 and over 50 and often over 60 because we can find it a lot harder at this stage to lose weight. And a lot of us are finding that it's really starting to impact our health. We're starting to have heart condition issues or cancer that can be really related to our diets, or we're starting to have elevated blood sugar or even have diabetes. And these health conditions are really serious, right? And we often tend to think, gosh, I guess that's just part of aging. Everybody gets one of those or more of those. And if we're lucky, we didn't get them till now. But I really have come to think differently about that. We find when we look at cultures where people eat more like traditional humans have eaten through the millennia instead of all the processed foods that we're eating nowadays. And those people don't have rates of cancer and heart disease and diabetes like we do at all. And our rates just keep continuing. I've really noticed in recent years this proliferation of dialysis centers around where I live in Denver, and that's happening all over. Diabetes is becoming rampant. And it's very clear to me and to a lot of us looking at the literature and looking at these patients that this is very diet related, and we can really change it with diet too. I've noticed, hello Barb, good to see you here. I've noticed that the people who are telling me that they're joining each day that I can't see, I don't get any indication that they're here, they're not my Facebook friends. So I hope that any of the rest of you that are here, I'd really love to know that you're here and feel like we're having a dialogue together. So would love if people would indicate in the comments your name and where you're joining from. And maybe, what you're hoping to really get out of this challenge. We're just 1 week into a week and a half, right? About a week and a half kind of challenge. And I've been hearing from a bunch of you, the ones that are really participating every day or participating pretty often, that you're really getting some insights about the limiting beliefs you have. And you can really start to see how they're holding back your healthy eating and weight loss. And you can really start to see how changing that is really going to change your success the next time. So I want to really congratulate you on making time for this. I realized I introduced myself today. I don't think I've introduced myself any of the other days. So those of you who know me are like, oh, there's Ginny. And the rest of you are like, who's this lady talking about mindsets and psychology so much? Anyway, I hope you're proud of the steps that you're taking to improve your health. I know it takes courage to decide to move forward with another effort to improve your eating, to eat healthier, and to lose weight. And it takes courage because any life change takes courage, but also because we've had so many failure experiences in this area. I know for me, I really had, one of my mindsets had become, I'm a failure at this. I'm stupid at this. I just can't get it. I can't understand what the secret is to losing weight. And that's a terrible thing to say to yourself, right? You'd never say it to a friend who was going through something difficult, but we say those things to ourselves lots of times because we have this inner critic going on. But that kind of statement, saying it to ourselves, especially if we're not aware of it and we're just kind of running this tape through our heads about, you're such a loser, you can't figure anything out, you just can't seem to get anything done, you can't do that. It's terrible for us, right? And it can make us feel shame, which is such a miserable feeling. You probably found Brene Brown by now. I'm so happy that she's talking about shame the way that she is and helping us figure out how to not just live in shame. Shame takes on a life of its own because we're so uncomfortable with it. We try not to look at it. We try not to deal with it. And then we don't really ever find a way to overcome it. And then it gets compounded by the next thing that's difficult. But anyway, what I'm talking about is it takes a lot of courage to really finally try again, to try one more time, to really embark on a new healthy eating and weight loss journey. And I want to tell you that I want it to be the last one you ever do. I want it to be successful, and you never have to think about this again when you're done. That's how I feel about it. I was just talking with one of the women that I've worked with for, a year or so last night, and she was saying, I love being planner. I love that the clothes in my closet fit. She said, I just never anticipated how much it would free up my mental energy. Like she said, she had just gone to a concert, and she didn't have to think about, as she's, getting through the aisle to find her seat, she didn't have to think about she's going to be bumping into people, or they're going to be thinking how fat she is, or any of those kinds of things. And it made me remember, as she was talking, how I really feel like in some ways, there was never an instant in my life when I was overweight that I wasn't thinking about either how I was eating, or how I needed to be eating later in the day, or how I was going to change my eating or my weight. I sort of feel like I didn't even stop obsessing about it when I slept. And I hope you're not having that level of suffering with it. But I think a lot of people are, and especially if you feel like, wow, this is really starting to impact my health, and I can't seem to get a handle on what to do differently. It's a terrible feeling. So I want you to know that all those thoughts that are making you discouraged and all those crummy feelings, you can really turn these around, and you can turn around, the approach that you're taking, and finally really get some traction and get some success. And that's why I'm so glad you're here. This is life-changing stuff, right? Let's see. So yeah, we've had all these failed attempts, partly because weight loss, most of the weight loss approaches out there don't work. I would say more than 90% of the time, from what we can see from the research, weight loss efforts fail, either altogether, like we just don't lose weight at all, or we lose some weight and then we gain it all back. And that's because they're not designed to work with our bodies. And if we're trying to kind of fight with our body, look, I'm going to cut your food and you're going to lose weight, our bodies are going to go, nuh-uh, we're not down with that. We're not going to let that happen. We're going to hold on to all the food coming in as fat. We're going to slow down your metabolism. We're going to make you really hungry. Our bodies are designed to protect us from starvation. They're going to help us keep whatever calories come in under those circumstances. So we can't just take that approach. It just isn't going to work. It can only work temporarily, and then our bodies are going to fight back. So we need an eating approach that works with our bodies rather than against them. And that's what I teach. I know I'm not going to have time to teach that through this challenge in a lot of depth, but I hope you're picking up some of the tips. But one big key is that you really probably need, I would say 90% of us need to eat at least a lot more of healthy, nutritious foods like fruits and vegetables and beans and legumes and nuts and seeds. What am I missing? I don't know. There's another category. Oh, whole grains. And that's not like whole grain bread, which is pounded in, which is turned into flour and then made into bread. Anything that's getting processed a lot is often going to be detrimental to our body's health and to our weight loss efforts. So we really, and I know everyone that I work with knows this, we want to reduce the processed foods and we want to increase the highly nutritious foods. It's just probably more than you think. And you have to probably be more disciplined about it than you think. But it really can be very enjoyable. You really start to feel, that's the other thing this woman was talking about last night, is just finding a way to eat that makes sense and that you love. Feels so good to just not have to worry at all anymore about what you're going to eat. You've got it handled. And now, granted, that doesn't happen the first week or the first month that you're learning a new way of eating, because our eating habits are very habitual. They're really programmed into our brains, but we really can change them. And that is really key to being successful with a weight loss effort that's really healthy and sustainable. Let's see. So I was talking about why we failed before, and mindsets, having defeating limiting beliefs are another big reason that we've had failure before. So, we might be pretty gung-ho and working pretty hard at a healthy eating plan that could work for a couple of months, but that mindset starts to crop up like, this isn't working. It's one of the things I do with my clients is make sure that we're tracking, we're really keeping track of where did they start and where are they now? Because even if you've been releasing a pound or two a week, even if we're 3 months into the program and you're now 10 pounds or 12 pounds or 15 pounds down, you can still get that thought of this isn't working and I should just quit, because those limiting beliefs are in there to keep you from changing, right? So there's a lot of reasons we've had a lot of failure before, and it's not because we're weak, and it's not because we need to have more willpower, etc. Those aren't the secrets, but we can really strengthen our mindsets to make it more likely we're going to be successful this next time. So I hope that you're going to engage with me through this process, not just kind of passively take it in, but find ways to get into action with changing your mindsets. And engage, if you're on the live training, engage with me in the comments. That really helps. So what else what do I want to say next? Okay, so I've been seeing some of you applying the tools for that I've been teaching and starting to transform some of those mindsets. And I want to give some of the examples that I've been hearing through this challenge. It's so fun to hear these changes. So we talked about a couple of limiting beliefs. We're going to talk about another one tomorrow. And we talked about becoming aware of them and noticing the feelings that go with them and just kind of watching and noticing, oh, that's an interesting thought. And we talked about questioning mindsets that are limiting us. So the mindset that's really common of, I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time to eat healthy. That's a really common limiting belief. And Kari this week came up with a question to challenge that, which is, what's one thing I can do to make time to fix one food for use later in the week? I love that for a variety of reasons. Sorry, I'm stuttering. I don't know why. It's a Friday thing. I don't know. What is one thing I can do to make time to fix one food for use later in the week? One thing I love about the question is one thing I can do. What's one thing I can do? Asking yourself that question assumes that there's something you can do. So that's already really changing how you feel, and it's already taking your mind in a direction to look for something you can do that will empower you, that will take you in the direction you want to go. The limiting belief, I don't have time, takes you to, okay, forget it. I don't have time. I'll give up. But the what can I do? What's one thing I can do? Takes your brain, because questions take your brain in a direction. Start searching for answers. So asking a good question can be very powerful for getting your mindset, taking you down a path that will take you in the direction you want to go. Another thing I like about that question, what's one thing I can do to make time to fix one food for use later in the week, is you're starting to get into the lifestyle, the environmental changes that you can make that will support you eating healthy and getting to your goal weight and getting slender for good. Because thinking of preparing some foods in advance is a really helpful tool. One thing that many of my clients have told me is, the more I prepare, the more I plan, the less I end up acting, kind of irrationally and eating off plan when I get hungry. And that's really key. I know for me, it's such an interesting thing to me, but I have had like a fear of hunger, like I'm going to die. I mean, I'm not going to die between lunch and dinner or between dinner and breakfast. None of us is going to die, but I get that feeling of this is scary. I'm hungry. I need to do something about this right now. And we often talk about, hunger is not an emergency. We're not going to die between one meal and the next meal. So where does that anxiety come from? And what can we do with it is a better question, right? What can I do with that anxiety? One of the biggest tricks that I've learned is to be careful not to let myself get that hungry, where my blood sugar is really tanking and I'm starting to get really anxious and upset. And I also, another tool that I use, an environmental tool, is to make sure there's always something in the freezer that is on my plan that I can go and heat up when I'm really hungry and starting to get that anxiety and I don't have time to cook. I could have time to cook, but I'm so hungry I won't. All right, so that was a great question Kari came up with. And then Barb came up with another great question for I don't have time, to start questioning and loosening up that belief. And hers was, when do I have time to prepare food today? When do I have time to prepare food? Again, sends you in a constructive direction, sends you looking for solutions to this. And it also assumes that you do have time to prepare food today, which is really true. If it becomes a priority to you, you make time for it. So that was a really great question. And then Barb took this another step further, and she changed the limiting belief statement to something that's both more true and more constructive. And that was, it will be a challenge, but if I spend time every day, feeling successful will keep me on track. So, it's really understandable. We're going to have that thought of, I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't know if 100% of us have that, but a large percent of us have that. I definitely had it. So finding a way to change that statement to something that's both more true, I don't have time, is not really true. I'm not making time is more true. And also changing it to something more constructive, like it will be a challenge, but if I put time into it every day, I'm going to stay on track because I'm going to get some momentum. I'm going to start feeling successful. So I thought that was wonderful. And then one of my clients had an epiphany this week, that she holds a limiting belief that her body just won't allow her to lose weight. Her body just won't cooperate. So why even try? And what she told me was, when she thinks this thought, it gives her justification to eat off plan. There's a certain time of day, it's the middle of the afternoon, when she is often feeling hungry, tired, low energy, and it used to always be a snack time. And so it's really easy to get into that habit again. And she had actually been doing this every third day. So she'd say, I've been good for 2 days, and then the third day I give in and eat off plan again. Now, every third day, pretty much eating off plan, your weight loss is going to stall. And before long, that's going to convince you that your belief that your body won't let go of the weight is true. And so that's going to lead you to eat even more off plan, and that's going to lead you to regain the weight. So we worked on that. So now that she's recognized that belief, she's come up with a substitution thought, which is more true and more constructive. And it goes like this: it takes effort to release excess weight, but when I stick to the plan, I'm successful. So we're working on questioning these beliefs, loosening them up. And if you can take enough time to sit with a belief and substitute the thought, okay, I'm saying to myself, I don't have time. What is a more true and constructive statement for that? Or I'm saying to myself, my body just won't lose weight. That's a limiting belief, and it's going to cause you to feel so discouraged that you give up if you don't change it, if you don't loosen it up at least. So changing that statement really can free up some energy again for being successful, doing the things you need to do to get the healthy eating to be a habit, to make healthy eating a really happy habit. Now, I want to ask, what about you? What limiting beliefs are you recognizing that give you trouble? I'd love to see you note in the comments there what limiting beliefs are giving you trouble. It'd be great to hear them. Tomorrow, in fact, I'm going to deal with the limiting belief that goes something like, I'm afraid if I have to start eating healthy that I won't like my food and I'll be sad and miserable and missing out on pleasure in life. Really understandable belief. I'm really so glad Barb mentioned it, because it's super common and it really is discouraging and can really make you stop your efforts. So we're going to deal with that one tomorrow. So I hope you'll come tomorrow. I want to see what we've got in the comments here. Oh, Barb is just mentioning that there's another time saver, which is looking forward to getting dressed quickly and easily and not wasting time trying on a dozen things that don't fit or make me look good or make me feel good. Yes, that's a big, big change. I can't believe the amount of energy that's been released from that. I used to spend so much time trying on clothes to get out the door, whether it was to go to a board meeting or it was to go out for a social event. I just never felt like I looked good in anything. And so it was sort of, oh, what clothes do I have in here that best hide the fat rolls? Or, it just felt crummy. It didn't really feel like my body, and I didn't feel comfortable how I was showing up. So that, I think we underestimate how much that is just taking our energy, just sapping our energy and making us sad all the time. So yeah, that gets me a little emotional. To think about me feeling that way, to think about Barb feeling that way, to think about any of us feeling that way, like, let's change this. Let's just finally change this. And I can tell you, this belief that I'm going to be sad and I'm not going to enjoy my food and all the color is going to go out of life and that stuff is not true. You get so much color back in your life when you really get a happy habit of eating healthy, and it feels so amazing. I do want to ask if anyone else is here, if you'd put your name and where you're from in the comments, so we can see who is here. Because I know there's other people here and I just can't see them, and it's like, hello. Okay, so going on. So what difference does it make to your life when you start changing these beliefs? And I'm not saying that when you start becoming aware of them and you start questioning them and you start coming around with a substitute thought for them, that they're never going to bother you again. because when you're exhausted and when you're stressed and when your blood sugar is really low, those limiting beliefs are going to crop up again. They've been around with you a long time, and they serve a purpose. They're trying to keep you from changing. They're trying to maintain the status quo and make sure you survive. So loosening them up doesn't mean that they're going to be gone. Pardon me. But once you become aware of the limiting beliefs, it's harder for them to run you around without you even being aware of it. I was talking earlier this week about how I'm cutting out coffee in the afternoon, and it's been surprisingly hard. I mean, coffee's always a really hard one for me. And so I just keep finding myself going to make that second cup of coffee or going to buy that second cup of coffee in the afternoon and having to stop and go, you're not doing that. You decided you're not having coffee in the afternoon. Get something else. I found a good tea at Starbucks, by the way, peach tranquility tea. I'm really enjoying that. So that helps, because part of the habit was going to get something and, you know, feeling like I was treating myself. So I still have that part of the habit without the coffee. So becoming aware of the beliefs and, you know, that are driving us can help stop them from running us around. And once we've questioned these beliefs, that starts loosening their hold on us. So that's really valuable. Just want to check where I'm at with my notes. And then once you've worked on it enough to come up with a substitute thought, you've loosened it and weakened the hold that limiting belief has on you even more. So if you haven't done some of these turnarounds, some of these thought substitutions, I really encourage you, identify at least one limiting belief you have that's holding back your weight loss, that's making it more difficult for you, that's sapping your energy, and do some work on it. You know, ask it questions, ask questions of it, notice what you're feeling and just observe it, and go to the step of coming up with a more true and a more constructive thought. So it's not a black or white thing. It's not like I have this limiting belief or I don't have this limiting belief. So you don't want to use that to kind of beat yourself up. Okay, that limiting belief's all there. It's still there. I'm going to give up. This isn't working. But you're strengthening your psychology for healthy eating and weight loss. And think about this. What if there was a way to measure it, what if you're strengthening your psychology 25%? You're getting a 25% increase in your strength of your psychology and your mindsets for healthy eating and weight loss. That could be enough to get you through those difficult moments this time. That could be all you need. Maybe even just 10% change would be enough to get you through those moments. So it's just something to kind of keep going with, to keep noticing those thoughts when they crop up, and you know, coming up with the thought substitutions. So let's see, I'm just going to see what's happening in the comments again. Limiting belief, I won't be able to eat out or with others. That's a really good one too, Barb. And it's definitely something that comes up for a lot of people. Dealing with the social aspect of eating is really important, and we work on it quite a bit in my program. So you'll get to work on that one. It's definitely a fear that people have, and I understand it. In a way, that fear relates to, it gets to a fear that almost that we're going to die, because we're such social animals that we can worry that if there's any way that we really stand out and we're really different from the rest of the people around us, that could leave us isolated and really put us in danger. I may sound like I'm exaggerating, but I really think that fear is a powerful one, and it's a really important one to deal with as we make some changes. Bottom line, I'm going to say, I really like that people can see that it's through my example, that it's really possible to eat very healthy and really enjoy it, and to really regain tremendous health and vitality, because at my age, a lot of my friends are starting to have really serious health problems, and they feel like it's something they can't do anything about. So I like being that example. And the truth is, most people are not paying that much attention to what you're eating. They don't really care. They're eating what they eat. So anyway, we'll deal more with that belief another time. But today, I'm going to teach you a particularly powerful technique. Let me see where we're at with time. For a powerful technique for changing mindsets so you can really get into a strong place with your next healthy eating and weight loss journey. And the tool is visualization. And I know you've heard of it. I know you've experienced it. And you might even think, well, you know, I already know about visualization, so there's nothing to learn here. But I think you'll find that when you apply visualization effectively to this issue of healthy eating and weight loss, it can really, really help you. It's a really powerful tool. I don't know if you know that Olympic athletes, a lot of athletes make use of visualization. Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus use it all the time. And the reason that visualization really works is when our brain doesn't really know the difference between I did something and I just imagined doing something. For our brain, it's all the same. And so we can look at brain scans when people are, like a person is visualizing hitting a golf club, and you can see the muscles that are involved in hitting the golf club are being fired up in the brain. So there's an interesting study where a group of people did some weightlifting for, I think it was 3 months, and they got 30% increase in their muscle mass. But then they had another group at the same time who just visualized lifting weights every day for 3 months, and they got a 13.5% increase in their muscle mass just from visualizing it. So our muscles actually get engaged when we visualize these things. I've got chorus audition coming up pretty soon, and I hate auditions. They cause me tremendous anxiety and stress. My last audition was pretty bad, and I feel like I'm lucky I'm still in this chorus. And the one before that went pretty well. And the big difference was that I rehearsed probably more, and I also visualized having just standing up there and comfortably and in a relaxed way singing. Being relaxed is really important for the best use of the vocal mechanism. So that made a really big difference for me. So I'm going to do that again this time. Let's see. I want you to know that there's ways you can use visualization that help you, and there's also ways you can use visualization that make things worse. And I'm going to teach us a second class on visualization. I'm going to go more into it next week. But what it is it's a mental practice that can prepare you to succeed with a physical practice. Yeah, I'm running out of time. Sorry, I told too many stories this time. Let's see. So I talked about all that. So visualization increases confidence and self-efficacy. And so if I do more visualization for that rehearsal, I'll be more confident, more relaxed, etc. I guess I'll have to lead people on a visualization next time, but let me just ask you to start envisioning your healthy eating and weight loss journey, and starting from a lot stronger, healthier psychology with more empowering mindsets. And so it goes completely differently this time. When you hit roadblocks, you quickly get yourself over them and get going again, and it gets easy again. And so you have a lot of periods of ease and comfort and joy with this effort, with this weight loss effort, like you haven't really had before. And you get yourself easily through the difficulties, and you get all the way to releasing the excess weight. And what does it look like? What does it feel like when you're releasing that excess weight? How do your clothes feel when you get to your goal weight? How is it different to shop for clothes or to walk past a mirror? I was just talking with someone that I work with the other night, and she was saying how I always, didn't look in the mirror. This is so true for me. I mean, I would go out and I'd be like, oh my God, things in my teeth, I'd find later in the day, because I just was so reluctant to look in a mirror. I want you to envision how your movement is different when you release this excess weight, and what you feel like. What's your energy like? What's your vitality like? I'll never forget when I went from walking like a 90-year-old woman for several years, just really, really slogging through mud, to pretty, like, all of a sudden noticing I'm walking like a young person again. Doom, 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 doom. And that feels really good. So I want you to envision any of these kind of changes that are really important for you. How's life different? What do you notice? What do you see around you? Is there a smell in the air? Really get the 5 senses engaged with this visualization. And how are your mornings different? And how are your evenings and nights different? How do you feel getting ready to go out with friends or go on a date? And when you're with people? How much energy is released when you don't have to worry about how you're eating anymore, because you have happy, healthy eating habits that are just really have become a habit for you and have become really good. So now that you have eating handled, and you almost never experience cravings, and you have a way of eating that you love, how does it feel? How does it change things for you? What about when you never feel tempted, or almost never feel tempted by food-like substances that used to really cause cravings? How much energy is released for you when you stop worrying about your weight, and you're in your body, you're feeling comfortable, you're who you are. And so when you take some time to visualize that, I want to ask you how you feel. And I want to make a point here. And feel free to share in the comments, how does it feel when you envision this? There's a caution. And so this has become sort of a pop psychology concept, and there's sort of a caution about most of these pop psychology concepts. There's some real truth and real power to them, and there's also, if you don't understand them and you misuse them, there's some cautionary issues involved. So when we envision achieving this great goal, we're going to feel good, right? We're going to feel like, rah, I rock, my life is so happy. And feeling that way doesn't move us to change, doesn't move us to action. So I'm going to tell you a really important clue quickly about visualization is that it's really important to visualize yourself taking the actions that it takes to get there. Not just getting to the end of the goal, but taking the action it takes to get there. And I'll tell you more about some research about that next time. But I hope that you're taking these ideas from the abstract to action, that you're taking a little time after these sessions to work on the thoughts that really make a difference to you and start to change them. Journaling can be a good way to get these thoughts out of your head and down on paper. And that can also give you a good reference. Writing down your vision can really give you a good reference for those moments where you're feeling like, well, now why was I doing this again? I'm not feeling like I want to do this anymore. You go back and look at your vision, you go, oh yeah, that's important. I do want to keep doing this. So I'll teach more about visualization next week, and I'll lead you through a visualization next week, assuming that you're in a place where you can kind of close your eyes and do the deep breathing and you're not going to crash a car, etc. I want to remind you to make use of the workbook that goes along with this challenge to really change the mindsets you need to challenge. And it's not too late if your friends and family want to join. Imagine doing this mindset shift together with your friends and family. That will be a really great support for you. They can check it out and join up at slenderforgood.com/14-day challenge. You're a rock star for committing to this challenge. I'm so glad you're here. I love that you recognize that mindsets make a powerful difference for our action and our behavior and our habits. And that really can, when we really want to change something important, changing our mindsets is a great first step. So making healthy eating a happy habit can change everything for you. Congratulations. Tomorrow we're going to delve more into another mindset that tends to derail our healthy eating and weight loss. I think you're going to love it. Remember to send me questions and ideas you'd like me to address during the challenge so that this benefits you. I'm so happy Barb's coming like every day. She's really making great use of this, and I hope others will too. So have a great day. I hope you will give your body some really nutritious foods to make it really happy today. I love you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a great day.